Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Really glad that you could come and see some of our phonics lessons today. Hopefully it was really helpful. We're going to talk through some of the aspects of how the things that you've seen this morning, but also how we move on throughout the year. A love of reading is the biggest indicator of future academic success. So this quote reminds us of the importance, not just obviously what you've seen today, of a phonics lesson, but the love of reading is what we are trying to instill within the children. And hopefully you'll see that coming through in everything that we're doing, not just today, but throughout your time that you're with us at some areas. So try and just keep that in the back of your head, what we're seeing today, but also where we're going to and their journey as they sort of go through the school. Because we see phonics as the route into reading. Obviously, the love of reading is the ultimate goal where we want to be. So, question for you. Have a little think how many times you might have already read today, whether it's something on the phone, or we're surrounded by text, whether it's driving in the car, reading signs. Text and reading is a vital skill. So we want all of our children to become confident readers who equip them for life. That really is the that's the part of everything.
So every school, as part of the national curriculum, has to choose a synthetic phonics programme to teach children how to read and to spell. And our school has chosen Mr. Wandle. We've been doing it for the last 3 years now. It's been really successful so far. The children really enjoy it, and they like the structure and the routine. So we like using it for our school. We think it works well for our children. So what is phonics? Phonics is making connections between the sound of our spoken words and the letters that we use to write them down. It's that simple. We use it. It sounds really complicated, but it isn't. It's just those sounds that we use in our reading and our writing. So I'm going to go through some terminology now that we use. We use these words in class with the children as well, so they do know what they mean. They'll, as they go further through their time, obviously in reception, they might not, sorry, I'm thinking of my year 1 brain at the moment. They still know what they mean. The teachers will use them like gradually to get those words with them. So they sound really complex, but then. So the phoneme is the sound that we hear with the letter. So at are phonemes. The grapheme is the letter that we use to write that down. So the letter S is the grapheme that we use to represent the phonemes. A digraph is 2 letters that make 1 sound. So your children will learn those later in the year. So sh, where we use S and H to make 1 sound. I'll show you. So we've got our 2 letters for 1 sound. A trigraph is 3 letters, 1 sound. So the children learn the trigraphs ear, eye, in reception, and a couple more, but they're like the first 2 that we learn. Air. So yeah, these are 3 letters that make 1 sound, and we will teach the children that they are trigraphs and this is a digraph. And we say to them, oh, what's a digraph? And they'll say 2 letters, 1 sound. And it becomes a little bit of a chant that they like to say with us. Blending is when we put sounds together to read them. So if we're looking at a word on a page, we would break the sounds up. So if I was looking at the word sat, I would say at, sat. So I'm putting those sounds together in my head as I look. Segmenting is when we're spelling a word. So if I was going to write the word sat in my head or out loud, I would say sat, and then I would carefully listen for each sound and I would segment it into, oh, what's the first sound? At, and then I can write each sound out. And as the children go through the section, they will use those terms. So, in reception, your children have started learning phase 2 already. We start teaching from week 2, so they've been doing it for a couple of weeks now. The lessons are lots of fun. You've seen them today. You've seen how we use lots of different resources. It is very structured, but the children love it. They enjoy it, don't they? They learn 4 sounds each week, and in your pack, you've got a list of all the sounds that they will learn during their time in reception. So they learn 4 a week, and then on a Friday, they have a review lesson where they play lots of games just to practice those 4 sounds and get them embedded and build their confidence with those. Yeah, so like I said, we've got the ongoing and I know in reception that each week you get the 4 sounds, they come home with you. You have some handwriting, you have the sounds in the pack, you've got some flashcards, and then some words to practice with the blending and maybe the more oral blending with the children.
Yeah, so these are the flashcards ones. So you can cut them out and do like we did with shuffle time and use those.
So we're just going to watch a little video of how we say the sounds. So this is the little on the website. There's loads of help on there for you to see how to support phonics at home. There's all the how to say each of the sounds as your child moves through reception and into year 1 as well. It has some of the stuff is in your pack, but there's all the sounds, and on it tells you how to say it, and it tells you how to practice writing it as well. So you've got all of that there as well. There's stuff about tricky words, which I'll talk to you a bit more about in a minute. There's a section about how we teach. So you can see how we teach each part of our lesson. I know obviously we saw our lesson today, but as we go through and year 1, the way that we teach things changes as the children become more confident and as we're teaching them more difficult things. So that's all on there for you to have a look at. We're just going to have a quick look at how we say the reception phase 2 sounds. So that is obviously available for you to watch if you're ever wondering at home, oh, how do we say that? Because I know some of them, like, when I was taught to say her, but now it's
Everybody put is the
yeah,
one
we have to be really like soft and quiet. They call it schwa, but they'll learn that. So we start with the blending from reception, as you will have seen in the lessons this morning. The teachers use the big cards and they do teacher-led blending. So they'll sound it out first so that the children can see how it's modelled, and then they have a go themselves. And gradually, as they go through reception, obviously that teacher-led is kind of taken away a little bit as they become more confident to do it themselves. We also do oral blending, which you will have seen in the lesson today, where we say the sounds and they have to just say the word. There's no letters, we don't use any cards or anything, they're just practicing blending without anything else to distract them. And that was something that we didn't really do before we did Little Wandle, and it's actually been really helpful. And I think it really, really helps the kids to develop that confidence in their blending without thinking, oh no, I don't know what that says when they're looking at the cards. It's something that they can all join in with. And there are lots of games, aren't there, that they play. That are really simple, like even at lunchtime, you might be saying, oh, we're going to go and wash out and now, and they'll get up and they'll go and do that. Or go to your egg, pen and get your coat. It's just really like starting to get them thinking about that blending before they're applying it. So our aim is to try and get every child blending by Christmas. Some children pick up blending really quickly. It's something that they can just take and run with. Some of them find it a little bit trickier. There's still some children in year one who struggle with blending, and that's okay. We do have lots of things in place to support those children. And if your child is one of the children who does struggle, then also we talk to you and different ways that we can support them in school and ways that you can support them at home as well, so that we can get them confident in that blending as soon as possible. So, tricky words. They are words that we teach the children that basically they can't be blended. They are spelled in a way that at the moment they can't use the sounds that they know to blend. So, for example, he, the, was, we can't use the sounds that the children have learned in class yet to sound those out. Gradually, some of the words do become no longer tricky words. So, he in year one is not a tricky word because they learned that the letter E makes the sound E as well as F. But for now, they are tricky. So, we teach the children to recognise them by sight. And the words that we teach the children are all in a systematic way because they are the words that come up quite commonly in books. So they're words that they will see a lot. So the word I, know, the, are in a, is, yeah. So they're words that they will see a lot in their reading. So we teach them as soon as possible, just to help them to build their confidence. If they don't know some of these words, it's really hard for them to read sentences because they're so common in things that we read. So yeah. So this is our progression. Obviously, the children at the moment in lesson 1 are learning phase 2. So they're all the single sounds that you'll have seen some of today, and then perhaps as the children move on next half term before Christmas, they will start to learn some of those digraphs for 2 letters, 1 sound. They will learn more tricky words and practice blending and writing those words. Then as they move into spring, so after Christmas, we will teach them more digraphs. They'll be moving on to phase 3. So that's a lot more digraphs, the A, E, I sounds. And they learn those for the first half term. And then basically the rest of the year is spent recapping and reviewing what they have learned so that we can get those sounds really embedded and build their confidence. We do start teaching them how to read longer words at the end of the year and words with adjacent consonants, but I'm not going to overload you with all of that because that's for later on in the year. Yeah, that's not now, but that is something that they will start to learn later on in the year. And then next year they will learn their phase 5 sounds. So I'll do a whole new workshop about that next year. Yeah, see you there. So as you've seen in our lesson today, we use lots of different resources to make learning stick. We have the flashcards, we have mnemonics, they have rhymes, they have phrases, we've got sentences, we've got so much stuff to keep them engaged and just to support them with their learning. But I'm not going to go through it all because you've seen it in class. So, right, moving on to the spelling. So, your children will be taught how to spell simple words throughout the year. Each lesson, they write words. So every lesson, they are writing words using the sounds that they have learned in that lesson or sounds that they are already confident with. So we wouldn't try and ask them to write a word with a sound that we've not taught them, and we want it to be something that they are building their confidence in. So they will use the graphics that they've already been taught. They'll practice the correct formation. They've got their little rhymes. I know that they do, like they're tracing over the time, they're on the cottage stripe. Yeah, they just love them. So they do that every lesson. And as you saw, did you do it? Yeah. You're just doing the handwriting. So I'll show you how we do that. So once they get to the point where they're writing words, they will say the word. So for example, I'll write the word cat. So I'd say the word cat, they'll repeat it, we'll say it a couple of times. Then they show us their hands, and with their segmenting fingers, they segment the sounds. So we'd say, at, cat. Then we say to them, oh, how many sounds are in cat? And we'd count 3 sounds in cat, and then one at a time, together as a class, we would write the cat. So I'd say, oh, what's the first sound in cat? Oh. So it's my turn to write now. They're joining in with me and doing it as a team. So, okay, what's next? Ah, ah. Ah. Cat. And then I would read it through with them, they read it with me. At, cat, and then it's their turn. So then we hide the word, and then they have a go. And they have little cards in their packs with all the sounds. There's sounds on the wall to support them with that, so they know where to look to get that support if they need it. Now, we'll be pleased to hear that. Miss Park's going to talk for a minute now.
Okay, so you've seen some of our reading books going home already. So we've all got a green pack this year with their reading diary and their reading book in. And that will go home every week. The children read the same book 3 times a week in school with an adult. So either with the teacher or with the teacher. And we tend to do it on a rotation. So one week read with the teacher, the next week with the teaching assistant, so that we read with them every other week. They read with an adult 3 times. The first read is decoding. So you'll see in the back of their reading books, there's which is the same as we follow. So the first lesson is a decoding lesson, then we do a prosody lesson. So the decoding is where we do our sounding out, so we do our blending. Obviously a little bit different with these books at the moment, as I'll explain, because they've not got working. But we use our blending. So can we look for the sh-e? Okay, so just like the game that we were playing at the end of the lesson today, and those games that we play, as we talked about in the lunch for, we're still using our blending when we're doing our decoding. So it might be when you're reading at home, you might just be focusing on one aspect, like we do, each time that you read with them at home as well. So the next goes to the prosody, so we might be looking at using different voices, making the book sound interesting, using different pitches in our voices. At the moment, we're encouraging them to hold the book correctly, turn the pages with us, find the right page. That's obviously a tricky one, as we're still recognising our numbers as well. So, but I've got this page, so it's easier with us because we've got 2 books, you've only got one. I've got this page. Can you find this page? And obviously, they're all left. Page, so just turning the pages one at a time, but make it a game, making it fun, describing the creatures on the page, getting them to speak as much as possible, and get all that language coming out. And then the comprehension read is looking at their understanding. So give some questions and things to your kids, for example, this panel 1, see if you can find a flag that's on the bottom of page 2, finding the flag, do you recognise the flag, see if you can find the flag on this page, map, the understanding, what is this map showing us, talking about, shows us where the different animals come from, why the flag's there. There's lots and lots of discussion. There is, when you really pick it apart, it looks like somebody doing this. I know. But when you actually start to do those things, it does just become naturally. So yeah, so that's the reading books. How do we find the right book for your child? They all start on these non-worded books for the first 6 weeks. Okay, so up until the half term, we'll be reading these books. We've got lots of them, so we read a different one each week, and they go through. We then assess at the end of half term, and we then continue to assess the children every 6 weeks. We are actually assessing weekly at the moment. You might have seen that you might have had some messages home saying, can you practice sound this week? Can you practice move? To try and keep on top of those sounds rather than getting to the 6 weeks and we find, oh, actually, I've lost them in the lesson. Now we've got all of these sounds to go back over again. If we're asking you to practice them at home, we are practicing in school with them as well. So don't fret. It's not something that we want to become stressful, definitely not. So we will be doing some intervention with them while they're playing outside. We might have flashcards and just pop them. We might have them talked out on the floor. Lots of different ways that we'll be practicing, and we'll be pulling those children out that can't quite recognise it well, just to try and build their confidence. When we assess at the end of the 6 weeks, that then helps us to decide whether they're ready to go on to the next stage of books. And then they go through stages, so we call them the phases of the books. Any child who needs some extra support, we do daily keep-ups. So the LSA is doing generally an hour of intervention throughout the year, for those children that need. That's you. With your support as well, we will let you know if they're doing some intervention, things you can do to support us as well. But we don't want any child left behind. We don't want to get to the end of the year and there's, you know, that big group of children still aren't living. So we want to keep them there as quickly as we can. So reading at home, things that you can do. As well as the learning to read book, you'll also see that they bring home the their library book. That's the one that's on here. I am just going to show you, if we talk about book that's not got the words in, just grab the year one before I told it. Just grab so you can see. So this is a phase 3 book from year 1. So it's just got different children within year 1 might be at different stages. One group of children might be reading the phase 3 book, one group might be reading the phase 2 book, some children might be reading it at their level, and we group the children according to that, so they're appropriate to them. Okay? So hopefully you will see it build up gradually. It won't be that they suddenly come home with a book that's far beyond. It will be linked to the things that we're learning, and we do link it to the sounds that we're learning in class because we feel that helps their confidence, and it also then helps us with the letter formation as well. So it's the reading and writing coming along together. So as well as their reading pack, they bring home a library book once a week. Obviously, anything else that you share and read with your child is all amazing. So you don't have to read the books that they're bringing home. School.
Just realised.
The shared book is really important. Please read with your child as quickly as you can, at least once a day if possible. Yeah. Let's follow the slide. I'll just waffle. So reading the wordless books. So shared book is for you to read to your child. Obviously, the rough flow, we don't expect them to be able to come home and read that to you. But it's a book that you can learn together. It might be a non-fiction book, and it's a book that the child's chosen. It's not a book that we have.
So yeah, like Ms. Parker said, just reading with your child is a really excellent thing for you to do with them. It's so important that they hear different books and not necessarily just the books that you send them in their wallets, those library books as well, and non-fiction stuff, because it's something they're interested in. It helps them to develop their vocabulary and develop their understanding of the world around them. And it also just gives them an opportunity to become immersed in something fun and nice. I remember when I was young, all the books that my parents used to read with me, and I look back on that really fondly because I'm a bit of a book. I love reading, so phonics is definitely the right place for me to be. But yeah, books are so important, and yeah, they really help children. And like Ms. Park said right at the beginning, think about how much we use that reading in everyday life for any jobs they want to do when they're older. It's just so important. It's a really key skill. Yeah, just finish with this quote. One of the greatest gifts adults can give is to read to children. Just give them that opportunity to listen to you. And they just love it. They love story time at the end of the day. Yeah. So yeah, please read to your children as much as you can. Yeah, you have a busy life as well. So I don't expect you to just be reading stuff every day, but just when you can. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I hope that you found it really useful. If you ever have any questions about phonics, please just find Ms. Park or myself. I'm always really happy to help, point you in the right direction on the website. That is there as well for you to use if you need it. Before you go, would you mind just ticking your child's name so that we know who's come and we know who to give out to the people who haven't come. And if you have any questions, we'll be around 20 to ask, so just come over and help. And thank you for joining us online as well.